For more on the availability report and ins and outs tonight regarding injuries, we send it down to the sideline to Nick Rodecap. Nick, take it away.
Thanks, guys. Some injury updates for you guys before we begin this national championship game. Miami is without its starting defensive back, Xavier Lucas, for the first half of this game. Of course, you think back to the Fiesta Bowl. He was ejected for targeting in the second half of that game against Ole Miss. 45 tackles for Lucas, a team-best 8 pass breakups this year. Mario Cristobal, Miami's head coach, said that penalty was unjustly administered, but be that as it may, Miami will figure out a way to keep Indiana's passing attack in check without one of its key shutdown defenders. Also out for Miami, starting tight end Elijah Lofton. 4 starts this year, 3 touchdown catches. He was also injured in the Fiesta Bowl. He is officially out. Defensive back Damari Brown is a game-time decision, a pass breakup and 24 tackles. And for Indiana, the long-range field goal specialist Brendan Franke, who made that key 58-yarder against Oregon at Autzen Stadium back in October, has not played since late October against UCLA. Franke is a game-time decision, leaning toward being able to play. We saw him hit from 59 yards during warm-ups. Any other injury updates throughout the game, I'll keep you posted, but for now, we'll send it back upstairs.
All right, after 2 series, 1 for each squad offensively, no score, 10:22 to go. It's a media timeout. We'll send it down to the sidelines. Nick Rodecap, what do you have for us?
Well, guys, there's been a lot of discussion this year about the size disparity between Indiana and its opponents. And before this game, I did some digging, and I found that on average, Indiana's D-line is 53 pounds smaller than Miami's offensive line. The Hurricanes average 331 pounds on the O-line. They've got 2 guys 345 pounds. Historically, though, Indiana has flourished against bigger offensive lines. There was about a 55-pound difference against Oregon. Indiana sacked quarterback Dante Moore 9 times in Oregon's 2 meetings with the Hoosiers. Moore took just 14 sacks all season. Defensive coordinator Brian Haynes really good about getting his guys playing freely, playing vertical, and defensive lineman Tyreek Tucker told me at the Peach Bowl that's one of the best things a coach can do. So how will Brian Haynes cook up against this Miami offensive line tonight? Well, I'm not entirely sure, but you have to imagine he's going to use Indiana's smaller stature and more speed to his advantage. Back to you guys in the booth.
A couple good storylines when it comes to hometown kids coming back to Miami for the national championship. We send it down to the sidelines and our Nick Rodecap for more.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Energy is palpable here at Hard Rock Stadium for the fans and players alike, and when you have 58 players participating in this game who were born in the state of Florida, it's easy to see why. Of course, Miami has the bulk of those, 49 of 58, but plenty of notables for both teams. Indiana, of course, the Mendoza brothers, Fernando winning the Heisman, off to a relatively cold start tonight on account of Miami's front 7, led by edge rusher Ruben Bain. Both of those men born right here in Miami, both of them consensus All-Americans. Ruben Bain leads the Miami Hurricanes with 8.5 sacks, and he has been getting his in the trenches so far in this one. Also for Miami, head coach Mario Cristobal played with none other than Fernando Mendoza Sr. at Christopher Columbus High School right here in the 305. And Mario Cristobal as well began his coaching career at Florida International here in Miami. Of course, for Indiana, in the secondary, D'Angelo Pons, a Miami native as well. So too is Jamari Sharp, Malachi Toney from Liberty City, not far from the airport, the star Miami wide receiver who was the ACC Offensive Rookie of the Year. Plenty of local ties to this game. The Miami guys playing for the U, the pride in their home state. And for Indiana, in particular Fernando Mendoza, maybe a little bit of a chip on some of these guys' shoulders, knowing that perhaps they were overlooked by Miami among a whole host of other schools. Back to you guys in the booth.
All right, media timeout. You know what that means. No commercials on this broadcast. We're going down to the sidelines. Nick Rodecap, 3rd and goal for Indiana, up by 3. Take it away.
Thanks, guys. Of course, in a national championship game, there are a lot of historical implications, but it seems like for the last month and a half, every single game Indiana has played has been the biggest game in program history. First, it was hunting an undefeated regular season, then the first outright Big Ten title in 80 years. Then after that, a bowl game win for the first time since 1991, and now Indiana looking to become the first major college football team with a 16-0 record since Yale did it all the way back in 1894, which may or may not have been Carson Beck's freshman year of high school. On the other side of the ball for Miami, the Hurricanes, of course, looking for their 6th national title, their first since 2001, and if the Hurricanes can win tonight, they would be the first team to win a national title in their home stadium since Miami did it back in 1991, beating Nebraska in the Orange Bowl. It's not every It's not all that often you see a team play for a title in its home venue, but Miami gets that advantage tonight. And yet still, as I look around, it feels like there's about a 10 to 20 percentage point advantage for Indiana fans over Miami fans. Back to you guys in the booth.
For more down on the sidelines before the halftime show of our main man, Jack Schneider, in the studio, let's send it down there to Nick Rodecap.
Thanks, guys. Indiana leading 10-0 at halftime. The Hoosiers, per ESPN Insights, have scored 198 points in the second quarter this year. That's first in the FBS. Bad news for Miami, because LSU in 2020 is the only team, the last team, I should say, to overcome a 10-point deficit to win a BCS or CFP championship game. The largest comeback is 18 points, which Florida State did under the leadership of Jameis Winston back in 2014. So you feel like if the Hoosiers can score coming out of the halftime break, it's going to be very tough sledding for Miami. Back to you guys.
Nick Rodecap standing by on the sideline about more on this schools matchup between Indiana and Miami. Nick?
Thanks, guys. Obviously, every sport is independent of the other sports in a school's athletic department, but Indiana fans probably have a pretty bad taste in their mouths because the last time Indiana faced off against Miami in an NCAA postseason game, both the men's and women's basketball teams squared off against the Hurricanes in the 2023 NCAA tournament. The Indiana men got blown out by Miami. The Hurricanes went on to make the Final Four, falling to UConn in the Final Four, while the women, a top seed in the 2023 NCAA tournament, coming off a Big Ten regular season title, fell in a shocking upset to the 9th-seeded Hurricanes at Assembly Hall. And the women's game was particularly odd because Indiana and Stanford, two #1 seeds, both lost in the round of 32 that year, marking the first time since 1998 that multiple #1 seeds missed the Sweet 16 in the NCAA women's basketball tournament. And Ben, obviously football, basketball, different sports, entirely different groups of people, but a lot of IU fans probably don't have too many fond memories of the U. You and I were both freshmen when that happened, and I can certainly speak from experience that there is no love lost between the Hoosiers and the Hurricane fan bases here tonight. Back to you guys in the booth.
We're going to quickly set it down to our sideline reporter, Nick Rodecap, who's got a little bit on this matchup.
Guys, a lot of nervous energy in this stadium right now, and if you're Indiana, you keep the process the same. That's what they've been preaching, even as the outside noise has gotten bigger, the magnitude of these games has gotten bigger. Of course, there's nothing bigger than the national championship. Lewis Moore told me earlier this week, it starts with the man up top, Curt Cignetti, keeping a business-like approach. He keeps them humble and focused all the time. And Moore said that we can think we're going to go out there and dominate, but that's not what's going to happen. You have to do the little things well. And so far, Indiana has not dominated this game. The offensive line has not been great. You talk about doing the little things. It all starts with winning up front. Big 4th down and 5 coming up here. And if Indiana's offensive line cannot give Fernando Mendoza time to process the defense, I don't see how Indiana's going to be successful. Back to you guys.
Then why don't we throw it down to the sideline? Let's check in with our man Nick Rodecap. Nick, what is it like down there, and what's going on?
You talk about nervous energy, guys. There's just so much tension in the air, and I want to cut through that tension and remind you, there are a handful of guys on this team who have made key plays all season long that were recruited by the previous coaching staff, came back to Indiana amid the coaching change because they believed in what Curt Cignetti was building. You think about the game-winning touchdown against Penn State. Who made that catch? Omar Cooper, a Tom Allen recruit from Indianapolis, who has made multiple key 3rd down catches in this game tonight and had a huge breakout game against Penn State. None other than Charlie Becker, one of the last recruits of the Tom Allen era. And I will remind you guys, he wasn't even a starter when this year began. He was a true sophomore. He was on the second-team offense, getting playing time in garbage time during blowouts against teams like Kennesaw State and Indiana State when there were relatively few eyeballs on this Indiana team. Now he's made some of the biggest plays in the National Freakin' Championship against Miami at Hard Rock Stadium. Not bad for a true sophomore. Back to you guys in the booth.